Welcome to this video. My name is Iba, and in this video I want to talk about a super important topic which I hope will help a lot of people, because I want to talk about how I almost slipped into bulimia, healthy somatic tools, and trauma healing. Because on my YouTube channel I share a lot about my personal story and the things that I have to go through, and I really hope that by being authentic I can help other people. Also, disclaimer, in this video I will talk about eating disorders, traumatic things, and a lot of difficult things. So if you don't feel like right to watch the video, then maybe don't watch it, or watch it with a friend or someone who can support you in that. So also, I'm just sharing my personal story. I'm not a licensed therapist specializing in eating disorders. It's really just my personal story. And I want to talk about why or what actually happened. So for me, in the year of 2024, my world, so to say, collapsed because I went to trauma therapy, and for me it was the hardest thing I have ever done in my life. So far it was like in one moment I was kind of living my life, and then in the next moment the floor beneath me just fell and apart, and I was just falling, and I was so sad and so broken, and it was so tough, like this whole year for me, processing all of this trauma. So that was really tough, and I think I slipped into a depressive episode, or I just had a lot of grief to process, and because of that I also developed the inner urge that I want to vomit, and I think that's because, it's such a difficult, I didn't think the video would be so difficult to make, but I really think it was because a lot of trauma is stored in the body. So for example, if we experience trauma, but for example as children, but we are not able to process it because maybe we don't have parents who can guide us through the process, or any other things that prevent us from really allowing ourselves to have those experiences, it's stored in the body. And then when you go to therapy, you talk about your trauma, and you allow yourself to experience all the emotions that you have repressed, and it can be a lot. For me it was a lot of emotions all at once, and I think that my body reacted to it. Oh my god. Oh my god. So heavy to make this video, but anyways, I think that my body reacted to it now because it was just so many emotions, and the emotions were so painful also. And I think that I was overwhelmed. My nervous system was completely overwhelmed. And so it started with this urge that I just want to purge out all the negative emotions. For me, it had nothing to do with food, because it didn't matter if I had eaten or not eaten, or it had nothing to do with food. It was really just me being sometimes so overwhelmed of all of those emotions that I think my body was just trying a way to release those emotions, no? And I didn't actually do it. I didn't vomit because I was so scared that it would develop into bulimia. And from the research that I have done on bulimia, I know that it obviously has a lot to do with food in a certain way. That, for example, some people they purge after they have eaten a lot of food and they don't feel well with it. But I think also one part of bulimia is, for some people who have bulimia, is that they use it as a negative coping mechanism now. So when they feel overwhelmed or ashamed, or they have certain triggers, and then they use it as a regulation tool to have short-term sense of safety in a way, even though this coping mechanism is so destructive, because bulimia, obviously, it can completely harm you. It's not a really healthy coping mechanism. And I knew about that. I knew that bulimia is really something horrific, no? And a lot of people who have bulimia, they struggle with it for years, if not decades. And it was really a fear of mine that I didn't want to get bulimia. But I can tell you that the urge to purge was so intense, especially when I was triggered or when I had a lot of emotions. It was very intense, and I'm very happy that I actually didn't purge, but it was really, really intense, and that was really tough. It was really tough. And now I also want to talk a little bit about healing, or how to navigate this feeling. And what helped me a lot was to have certain somatic tools, like with my body. So for example, I would, like, now I'm feeling better. I feel like my nervous system in the year of 2024, it completely broke down and was completely gone. But I feel like I'm getting it back step by step. And it's not where it used to be. Like, I still get triggered and overwhelmed from time to time, but it's not an ongoing feeling anymore. It's more like I get triggered if I spend time, or if I talk with certain people, or if I have certain negative experiences in my life, but it's not ongoing anymore. So yeah, so some somatic tools could be, what really helped me is what I'm also doing right now, because it helps me to regulate, is to have pressure when I get overwhelmed and when I'm in those situations that feel just a lot of emotions come up. I use that pressure, and it really helps me to stay calm. And I use it on my chest and on my throat, and that really helps me a lot. But you can just test out for you what works for you. What also helps me a lot is to go for a walk and connect with nature. That helps me a lot to calm down and to just ground myself. What also helps me is breathing. So deep breaths, that can be really helpful, just to calm down and to ground. And then also affirmations, positive affirmations, and especially also grounding affirmations, such as I am safe, I'm grounded, and everything is okay. That helped me a lot. And also journaling can help a lot. And for some people there's like more things, but for me, I don't know, they didn't work so well. But some people, for example, they take ice cubes just to bring them back to grounding, and they hold them in the hand, or they count from 5 to 1 and count what they can see in the room, and that can help also. But I think you have to find for yourself, like if you're going through a traumatic event or traumatic life situations, which for a lot of people will happen soon, like at one point in their life, that for example you have a sudden death, or in my case you go to trauma therapy if you have experienced trauma, that we sometimes just feel so overwhelmed by emotions. And I think it's so important to have those somatic tools, because if we don't have them, it can actually develop into different conditions, no? Such as for me, I'm kind of convinced that if I would have given into the urge to vomit or to purge, that it would have maybe probably become something deeper, like a short-term coping mechanism that would eventually also really affect me negatively, no? So I really wanted to make this video to raise awareness about this topic, because I think in schools it's not being talked about, even though it should be, because a lot of people, they go through heavy things in their life, and I think if we would have the information already before we would go through those certain events, we could prepare ourselves and we could prevent sliding into those coping mechanisms. No, so yeah, this was the video, but also really important to say, if you struggle with those things, it's really important to get professional help. I'm still in contact with my therapist, and that's important. And yeah, so this was the video for today. Am I doing better? I am. Like, I'm not fully healed. I think that the year 2024 was so hard for me. I really think it will take a couple more years to heal fully and to come back to myself. But it's definitely been much better. And there's a lot of time when I'm doing much better. So yeah, oh my god. So this was the video for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna go cry now because I think it really... that's also something that I do. It's called tapping. It can also ground you again if you have, like, for example, the need, or you feel overwhelmed by emotions. You can, tap. I do it on my, because I always feel my emotions in my chest and my throat, but other people feel it in different areas. So you can tap where it feels good for you, and that can also help to ground yourself. So thank you so much for this video. It was a really hard video to make, but I think it's necessary to talk about those things, because again, on social media there's so much fake and so much inauthenticity, and so I think it's important to make those types of videos. So thank you so much for watching. If you want, you can check out the link in the description and see if I offer something that can help you, and I see you in my next video. Thank you so much.